Have you ever thought about the fact that you can victimize yourself, or do you only think that other people can victimize you? Well, I think by now you probably know that yes, there are toxic people who can victimize you. They can mistreat you. They can say things to you that are abusive, that are malicious, that are downright mean and destructive. They can do all kinds of unhealthy things that put you in a place where you are treated in ways that make you feel like a victim. But what about you? What about the choices that you make? Can you victimize yourself? When I realized that I could actually make myself a victim, that caused me to take a little bit more responsibility for the things that I was doing in my part of my relationships, in my half, the things that I had control of in my own life and in those relationships. And it also, the neat thing about it is, as uncomfortable as it may make you feel, to think about that is it gives you a lot of power and choice because you don't need anybody's permission to stop victimizing yourself. You just need to recognize you're doing it and make a change. So that gives you a lot of options in your life. It gives you a lot of things that you have control over changing, even if the other people don't change at all. There's a whole lot that you can do to make your life better and to take back the power and control over your life, over your emotions and your choices and your thoughts. And just there's a whole lot there. So let me give you some examples of things. So here is one example of something destructive that you can engage in that victimizes yourself, and that's allowing yourself passively to be mistreated again and again by dysfunctional people. Like, do you have to be in that situation? Can you respond differently? Can you speak up? Can you say no? Can you remove yourself? You do not have to passively allow yourself to be mistreated. You have options, and you are the only one that can exercise those options. So make sure that when you feel like you're being victimized, that you recognize, wait, what are the things that I could do in response that could remove myself as the victim? The next one is expecting too much of yourself. Um, how does that cause you to be a victim? Because you're going to be disappointed. You're going to be upset with yourself. You're going to feel bad. You're going to probably beat yourself up and berate yourself for not doing better. Yes, we always want to be improving and we want to be growing, but expecting something completely unreasonable for yourself and then being upset that you didn't meet it is actually self-sabotage. And that is victimizing yourself. When you put yourself into a situation that you know that you cannot succeed in, that is a form of self-sabotage. If somebody else did that to you, what would you feel like? If somebody else forced you in front of a group of people to speak unprepared when you're not a speaker, would you not be angry? Like, why did you put me in that situation? Well, do you put yourself in similar situations where you put yourself in front of people and you're not prepared and yet now you're upset with yourself? I mean, that might be a weird example, or maybe there's somebody there that just went, aha, I do that to myself. So don't expect too much of yourself. Expect enough of yourself. Expect what you know you're capable of and then some, but don't expect so much that you know you're going to fail. The next one is to beat yourself up for being human and making mistakes. We all make mistakes. If we don't make mistakes, it's because we're not trying. We're not risking anything new, anything different. The only way you could never make a mistake is to do nothing. So you can't try something new, because if you try something new, you will fail at it many times until you get it. You cannot learn to roller skate without falling a bunch of times before you can stay up on the skates. And the more you practice, the faster you can go. But if you never get on them, you'll never fall on the skates. So allow yourself to be human. All of us make mistakes. All of us say something stupid at times. All of us forget things. All of us are incapable of doing a perfect job all the times. All of us do something embarrassing in front of other people. We are all human, and that makes us all in this together. And none of us has to be perfect or succeed all the time. Allow yourself to make mistakes. Mistakes are missed takes. MISSED. Next word, TAKES. Missed takes. It's like you have that thing that they do out on a movie set. Take one, take two, three. They write a three up there. Take three. Okay, you're gonna have mistakes. It's okay, not a problem. Next one is having unrealistic expectations for somebody else and then feeling sad, disappointed, and upset when they aren't met. We set ourselves up in difficult relationships to expect things from people who cannot meet them. And when we do that time after time after time after time, it's our fault that we are not feeling good, that we're disappointed, that we're disillusioned, that we're sad, that we're upset. Have reasonable expectations for people. If you know somebody has an anger problem, expect them to go off and be angry. If you know somebody is defensive every time you bring up a problem, expect them to be disappointed or to be defensive. If you know somebody drinks, don't expect that person to come home sober every day. Expect that person to come home after drinking so that you're not disappointed. Person usually comes home at 10. Don't sit there from 6 o'clock till 10 for 4 hours, waiting for that person to walk in the door. Don't set yourself up. That is victimizing yourself. How would you feel if that person called you and said, I'll be home at 6, but didn't get home till 10? You'd be mad. You'd felt like, man, that person mistreated me. Well, then don't do that to yourself. Have reasonable expectations that meet the reality, not how things should be with healthy, normal people in a healthy, normal relationship, but how they are typically. The next one is refusing to use your power to say no. It's yours. It's your choice. A lot of reasons we don't in our difficult relationships, but when you don't use your power to say no, then you are victimizing yourself. You can't blame somebody else because you said yes, because not saying no is saying yes, right? You're agreeing to it. You're not using your power to say no. So don't blame the other person for making you say yes. Recognize if you said yes, you had a choice to say no, and you chose not to. You're not a victim. You had a choice. Don't victimize yourself by telling yourself you don't have an option. Next one is invalidating yourself by not believing what you feel, what you think, what you see, what you perceive. You are the only one that can validate exactly how you feel because you're the one that experiences it. But what happens to us in difficult relationships is we are invalidated by other people, and then we learn how to invalidate ourselves. We allow ourselves to be invalidated by ourselves. So what you need to do is another person can invalidate you, but you can be like, I know what I saw. I know what I felt. I know what I believe. I know what I think. I experienced it. So don't allow yourself to be invalidated by you. At least you hang on to the truth of what you know to be true for you. Don't victimize yourself by being the second person to invalidate you. First the other person, and then you go right along with it and goes, yeah, that's right. I must not know what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling. You're victimizing yourself a second time. Next one is doing things that you know are unhealthy for you emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, relationally, and yet you know they're unhealthy, and yet you just keep on doing them over and over and over and over again. So once you know something is not good for you and you have the awareness, then you have a choice. You can stop. You can work on stopping. But if you know it's not good and you continue to do it, you're mistreating yourself. You're giving yourself permission to do things to yourself that are harming to you. It's like you having a relationship with you. So you have choices. You have a will. You can direct that will towards certain things that are good for you or not good for you. So when you recognize that you are an entity that gets to make choices for you that affect you, it might help you to redirect some of your energy and your choices and not feel so unempowered and so just completely helpless. The next thing is engaging in futile attempts to make difficult people try to see your truth. Futile. Futile means useless, no good. Okay. How many times do you have to do the same thing over and over again to know that it doesn't work? How many times do you have to have the same conversation with the same person about the same thing in the same way to know that it's not working? You're exhausting yourself. You're victimizing yourself. You're wasting your energy. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your emotions. So recognizing that when you allow yourself to do something that makes you feel crazy and unhealthy in the process, because, you know, we can get to that point where we are trying so hard to make other people see things that we actually can become emotionally imbalanced ourselves. We can feel crazy. We can feel like we can flip out. We can have an emotional hangover, all of those things. So don't do it. The next one is allowing people to make choices for you that you should make for yourself. Are you giving your power away and letting somebody make a choice that's really yours just because you are afraid to assert yourself or afraid to stand up or afraid to say what it is you feel? You don't want the backlash. You don't want the person to get upset with you. You don't want to take a risk. Don't allow other people to make choices for you that you should make for yourself. That is making yourself a victim. And then staying in denial when you need to face the truth. Okay. You have the power to see the truth. You have a choice to see the truth. You don't have to continue to believe the lies. You don't have to continue to protect yourself when the truth is right there and you can grab onto that truth and you can know that truth. And truth sets us free. You have to know the truth before you can begin to make changes. So don't victimize yourself by choosing to stay in a comfortable place of denial. Just go ahead and be willing to take the blinders off your eyes and see that truth that's just right outside your door so you can begin to make progress. And then the next one is saying no to the good things that life offers you, but you're afraid. You're afraid to take a risk. You're afraid to do something different. You're afraid to try something that feels good because you're afraid you might lose it, or you're afraid to make a change or to open yourself up to new things. Don't be afraid to say yes to the good things that come along. Open yourself up to the things that make your life better, to new friendships, to new opportunities, to new recovery, to a new job, to a new experience, to a vacation, to going somewhere and doing something different that you normally wouldn't do because of fear. Let go of the fear. Don't keep yourself stuck in that rut because of fear. And then the next one is putting your life on hold, waiting for other people to get better. We do that as codependents in difficult relationships. We think, you know, when my child gets sober, when my child gets well, when my spouse gets better, when this person goes into treatment, when this person feels good about me, when the marriage is fixed, then I will blink, 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 blink. It's your life. Today is valuable. Don't allow yourself to continue to put anything on hold. As much as is possible, live like you would as if your marriage was better, as if the person was sober, as if the person was healthy. You cannot put your life on hold because somebody else hasn't taken care of themselves. You've got to make sure that you live fully each and every day because you have that right. And actually, you have that responsibility to yourself. and also to God, to be a good steward of the life that He has given you, because you are the one that will give an account for how you lived your life, not to hide in under the rock or behind the difficult relationship or the problems, but to go and use the talents that God has given you and do something with them rather than just waiting. And then the next one is expecting people who cannot love you and cannot give you the approval that you seek to give you approval and to keep trying to get it from them. I have talked to people that are in their 60s that are still trying to get that stamp of approval from that elderly parent. Their whole life they never got it, and yet they're still trying to have that parent say, "Oh, well done. You're worthy. I love you." Maybe that person isn't capable of saying "I love you," isn't capable of approving you. You don't need it. It's nice, but you don't need it. You can get your approval from other places, from other people, and from God. Don't keep living your life to try to get approval. I think you know by now, with all these examples I've given you of how you can victimize yourself. I could probably keep on going. There's a lot of things that we do to victimize ourselves. It's just to put ourselves in a place where we're hurting ourselves and not treating ourselves the way that we deserve to be treated, the way that God wants us to treat ourselves. It's not the way we would treat another person. Would you tell your daughter or your son or your mother or your father or your best friend or your spouse to do these things to themselves? Would you say, "Yeah, those are great, those are good, those are really healthy ways to be. That's fine, go ahead"? No, you would never do that. So it's treating yourself in a healthy way, like you would tell somebody else to treat themselves. That's simply what you're going to do to stop victimizing yourself. And the example that I have from scripture is in Esther 1, when Queen Vashti was called by her husband to come into the banquet and to wear her crown and to parade herself around all of the people that were attending his 7-day drunken feast. That was demeaning to her. Queens usually went out in a carriage. They stayed hidden. They didn't parade themselves in front of drunken people to lure and stare at them and make comments about their beauty. And she simply exercised her right to say no. And was that painful? Yeah, it had a consequence. Because of that, he told her, "That's it. You're not queen anymore. You're done. You're not ever coming before my presence. If you won't come now and do what I ask, then you're never going to come." You know what? Okay, so be it. She was willing to face that. She was not willing to demean herself. She was not willing to harm herself. She was not willing to give up her power to say no to protect herself. Queen Vashti was not willing to victimize herself. We too need to not be willing to victimize ourselves anymore. We have in many ways to this point, but once you know, then that's when you have the choice of making a different one. So thank you for watching this on Change My Relationship.